the police just beat the crap out of him. There were 4 police officers involved, and the decision came. The 4 police officers, instead of being convicted as everyone had expected, they were released.
This is the activation of the emergency broadcast system of LA County. The Los Angeles County of Emergency Operations Center has announced the expanded boundaries for the emergency curfew. These areas are bounded by the unincorporated community of East Los Angeles, as well as the entire city of Los Angeles. This concludes the activation of the emergency broadcast system. April 29, 1992, at 19:17 hours.
City, but reports of looting and arrests being made just outside Beverly Hills.
And there you can see
It was a multifaceted event that consists of years of mistrust and conflicts between the African American and Korean American communities.
Yeah, we've had a little difficulties in South Central LA, and people own markets. Most of them are Korean people, and they've had a little conflict with the black people in that neighborhood. I mean, the curfew is going to have absolutely no effect if people don't come out here and start enforcing it right away.
The finger pointing to be targeted, the outrage by the black community targeted towards the Korean store owners versus perhaps the system that really perhaps was the one that was guilty.
Okay.
I mean,
certainly we're saying these are people, you have no animosity. When we bring up people of color, you have no animosity against them.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Okay.
But,
Army support.
Oh, you need more Army support.
yeah, this is a war zone, you know?
Overnight like this.
I know you can.
As far as I know, there hasn't been war on American soil since 1812, but this is a war zone, okay? I can't describe it any better.
And then if you swing the camera right on the store, right across the street, and what's happening over there is people are looting the store, they're going in. What's happening? It's everywhere.
That appears to be that pattern, Angela. So you said the fire broke out first, then the looting resulted?
This poor lady, apparently she'd been walking to this store, this market store, for many, many years, and then she arrived today, and this is what she saw.
You know how it all started? The first thing when the girl got killed from the Oriental.
March 16th, 1991. Latasha Harlins, a black teenager, is shot and killed by a Korean store owner, Sun Ja-do.
2 particular incidents that stand out that eventually led to the LA riots. One is Rodney King in 1991, followed by Latasha Harlins' death by a Korean owner, Sun Ja-do.
The media portrayed that Korean American merchants were acting like vigilantes. However, most Korean merchants did not own a gun. So Korean language radio stations requested those Korean Americans who had a gun to come to the Koreatown and try to help your fellow countrymen.
Our community story was depicted in such a negative light, and I knew that was an incomplete story of who we were as a community.
I think LA Riots is the event that gave birth to this idea of a Korean American identity.
You call it black power? You mad at the white man? Why did you join my business?
It took the LA Riots for people to realize that it is in fact about learning what it means to coexist in peace with people of various different walks of life and different ethnic and cultural background. I think LA Riots provided us that opportunity for us to re-question our role in the larger American experiment.
The narrative of our community's experience will be properly told and properly placed in history.
The moment you realize the depth and the long history of where you come from, that there's actually a lot of secrecy and beautiful layers of things that you don't understand about where you come from. I think this is also a very empowering experience. You get to really know about yourself. And so in that regard, I think it's ultimately for personal enlightenment purposes. that I think we should seek our identity.